I am a hairdresser. I took over the store that my father kept for 20 years. It's a small store, but I guess you could say I'm the manager. I took over the store 2 years ago. At the same time, my wife and I got married. It was my first time running a business. I was desperate not to let the store that my father had kept for so many years go out of business, so I was busy every day. She was the same age as me, and she continues to work in sales at the company she'd been working for before we got married. Because there is no guarantee that the store would be safe forever. The company she works for is a wonderful company. She rarely works overtime. She is even told to do so if she doesn't take her paid holidays off. They also pay bonuses. When we have a child, of course, the company has a maternity leave too. To be honest, I was not sure if I would be able to support my wife with my management skills, so I am glad that she decided to continue her job. We will be celebrating our second wedding anniversary at the end of this month. Last year, on our first wedding anniversary, I was too busy to do anything special for her. This year, I was eager to make my wife happy. Our wedding anniversary was on the last Saturday of the month. I was so excited that I decided to close my hair salon on that day, although it's pretty unacceptable for a hair salon to be closed on a Saturday, but I had a good reason, so I hope people would allow me just for that day. With that in mind, I made plans for our wedding anniversary without telling my wife. First of all, I made a reservation at a fairly expensive restaurant. This is the restaurant that my wife had told me that she wanted to try once. I had heard a rumor that it was hard to get a reservation, so I made a reservation very early. It was Saturday, so we might as well go shopping at a nearby mall. I want to buy her jewelry or something. It was a rare Saturday off for me, and I was very excited to have a date with my wife. Then one day, as our wedding anniversary approached, next Saturday, I was slightly embarrassed, but I started talking. She was getting ready for work. "What, you'll be at the store this Saturday, right?" she replied, confused. "No, I took the day off. I made a reservation at a restaurant. It's the one you've been wanting to go to. Let's do some shopping nearby before we go." I was so excited that my wife would be surprised and pleased after I told her about our date plan. However, I got a different response from my wife than I had expected. "What's the matter with you all of a sudden?" My wife raised her eyebrows and said, "I didn't hear you were going to take a day off from work. I didn't hear anything about you closing the store. I mean, did we have something on Saturday?" "You're kidding, right? We've only been married for 2 years. It would not be an exaggeration to say that we are newlyweds. How can you forget your anniversary after 2 years? I was shocked, but I felt sorry for myself for not having done enough for her as a newlywed couple. I told her it was our wedding anniversary and asked her again about her plans. "Actually, I have to work on that day. Although it's a Saturday," my wife sighed. "Why? You've never had to work on a holiday before. What's wrong?" I was simply surprised and asked her about it. "Why not? They told me I have to work on my day off, so there's nothing I can do about it." She seemed annoyed. I was surprised at this unexpected event. Why did she suddenly have to work on her day off? This had never happened before, since her company had a good reputation for not overworking its employees. Well, I guess my wife didn't expect it either. I should be understanding. I got back on track and said, "Well, let's go to the restaurant for dinner, and we'll go shopping together another time. I've already made reservations for the restaurant, so I was really looking forward to shopping together, but I'll just enjoy the dinner together for that day. Maybe I could give her a present there." That's what I thought. Then my wife asked, "The restaurant you made reservations at, it's on the top floor of the hotel near the train station, right?" "Of course, you said you wanted to go there," I replied. To that, she replied while putting on her makeup, "I'm actually going there next month with my important client. I don't want to tell the client that I've been there recently, so I'd appreciate it if you could cancel the reservation." Without a trace of feeling bad. I had planned this long in advance and made the reservation early, so I was genuinely shocked. They won't know that if you didn't tell them. I don't want to lie to them because they're an important client. With that, she left the house in a hurry. I was the only one who was looking forward to our anniversary next week. I was shocked, but I called the restaurant to cancel the appointment since there was nothing I can do about it. On the day of the anniversary, I had taken the day off. I had some free time while my wife was at work, so I decided to change plans and cook a feast for her. I planned to prepare my wife's favorite roast beef and go buy a cake from the new store in front of the station. I also bought some good wine and waited for her return. I was watching a YouTube tutorial to prepare the roast beef and struggling since I don't usually cook, when my wife suddenly called me. Could she be home early? "I haven't finished preparing it yet." "Oh well, that's okay." Thinking that, I pick up the phone. Sorry, I have to go on a business trip today. There was some miscommunication with our client, is what she said. My wife told me that she would be back tomorrow, and she was about to hang up the phone. I quickly stopped her from hanging up. A sudden business trip? That's never happened before. How is that possible? I was looking forward to our anniversary, so I was a bit puzzled. I was also a little worried about my wife's recent busy schedule. Today is our anniversary. Last year, you asked to leave early on the day. Isn't it strange that they want you to go on a business trip on this day? I questioned her about the fact that this was completely different from the company my wife had been working for. If it had been me, I would have declined. I was not convinced, so I asked my wife about it, but she didn't seem to take it so well. It's my job, so don't tell me what to do. She seemed pretty annoyed, so I had no choice but to agree. My excitement was quickly fading away. Despite my reaction, my wife seemed satisfied, didn't say a word of apology. I agreed, but I still had nothing but doubts. You've never worked overtime before, so why do you have to go on a business trip at this time? It's a Saturday. You said you were going to dinner with your client next month, but you've never had to do that either. Then my wife became grumpy again. I'm in sales, so I've got to have my clients enjoy themselves. The company is going through a difficult time right now. They've been nice to me all this time, so I have to give them their return. You don't understand because you don't have a profession, but salespeople are like that. Do you understand? I was a bit intimidated by my wife, but I had to fight back. But it's so out of the blue. There's never been anything like this. Isn't that harassment of employees? That's why I'm so inclined to doubt it. Then, of course, she became furious. Do you think I'm lying? I can't believe it. I'm working so hard. Earn enough money so that I don't have to work before you start complaining about it. I couldn't say anything. She hung up the phone. What a wedding anniversary. I had made plans to make her happy. I cancelled all my plans and I spent the night alone, lonely. One day, a little while later, I went to do business with my client, and there, I was told that the person in charge wanted to talk to me. He looked somewhat concerned. Was I being told not to come back next time or something? My wife was cursing me to increase my income. Please don't tell me I'm going to lose my job. I listened to what the manager had to say with a sense of excitement. In the midst of the awkward atmosphere, he opened his mouth. You're married, aren't you? Have you had any changes since then? I was a little taken aback, but I was glad he wasn't talking about the end of our contract or anything like that. However, I was surprised at the sudden change of subject. Yes, I've shown you our wedding picture, didn't I? Yes, I remember her well because she was very pretty. I didn't know what he wanted to ask me, but the conversation stopped and silence returned in the room. I had to break the atmosphere and started small talk. But it's terrible. It was our wedding anniversary the other day. But she said she had to go on a business trip, and I ended up spending the day alone. Then, the color of his eyes, and shouted suddenly. I knew it! Your wedding anniversary was last weekend, wasn't it? How does this person know my wedding anniversary? I've known him since before I got married, and he's been pretty friendly, but I was puzzled as I answered, yes, it was. Then he let out a big sigh and told me a shocking truth. Your wife is having an affair. I was wondering if it was possible, but now I'm sure. For a moment, I couldn't understand what he was saying. It's a joke, right? I would like to think so, but it wasn't the kind of thing you could joke about. The serious expression on his face showed this too. I leaned forward and decided to ask him for more details. It seems that her affair partner is a married doctor. The man who told me about this seemed to be good friends with his wife. She has been giving advice to her after she became aware of the affair. So she found it, conclusive evidence. He took out his phone and opened the page of a certain account to show me. Is this my wife? There, I see my wife, with a nickname that made no sense to me. The account had posted many pictures. I've never appeared in any of them, and they were all with a man I didn't know. The most recent post was on our wedding anniversary, when my wife said she was on a business trip and didn't come home. Tomorrow is 6 months since we started dating. Let's get together soon. It was a picture of my wife kissing the unknown man. What the hell is this? I tried my best to suppress my nausea. What the hell was she doing at such an age? Do people post pictures of themselves kissing? I could understand if she was in high school or something, but she was old enough to know better. But I was more concerned about the fact that the affair had been so easily discovered. She has even posted enough evidence that I can check the date. I asked him to send me a screenshot of all my wife's posts. I'm not very active on the internet. I don't even have an app for it. There was a time when my wife told me I should do it since I am a hairdresser, but I stubbornly refused. I guess that's why my wife is so carefree to show her cheating life on her account. I just watched him take the screenshots, one after the other, while I noticed myself become more and more angry. Until then, I was so upset because it happened so suddenly that I honestly couldn't think straight. But she took me for a fool. She didn't care about our wedding anniversary, but celebrated her 6 months for her affair. I was furious that I called my wife on the spot. Wyatt, don't call me while I'm still working. I told you I'll be busy during my business trip, right? She should have asked me what I wanted to talk about first. Doesn't she think it might be an emergency? I didn't know my wife was such a harsh talker. My feelings for my wife were plummeting. What are you in such a hurry for? My wife gave me a light laugh, and I couldn't hide my irritation. I erupted her appeal that she was busy with work and said, You don't want me to interrupt you because you're meeting a guy, right? My wife was surprised at my unexpected comment. I guess she was at a loss for an answer. The subtle pause told the story. What kind of accusation is that? You're acting like that toward your wife who works hard? You're terrible. Suddenly, she acted like she didn't care. I ignored her strategy of making herself the miserable one, and I started to push her into a corner. You're not working for your job, you're just working for your affair. My wife must have been annoyed with me. She suddenly changed from the gentle attitude she had just shown me and lost her temper over the phone. Are you making fun of me? You're saying this to your wife at her job without any proof. It's your fault that I have to work, after all. It is true that I didn't have enough income right after I took over the store, and I might have made her anxious, but from that point on, I tried not to worry my wife so much. We are now able to live without much inconvenience. I had no idea that my wife was thinking like this, so I was shocked. But hearing my wife's true feelings, my battle mode was accelerated even more. Yeah, I see. Compared to your doctor boyfriend, I'm a worthless man. Her voice on the other end of the phone suddenly stopped. Happy 6-month anniversary. I've already saved up more than enough evidence on my phone. An old woman shouldn't expose herself too much on the internet. It's embarrassing. My wife was obviously starting to panic. There was a slight pause, and with a soft, quiet voice that I could barely hear, she replied, How do you know that? You said you weren't good at social media. Yes, I'm not a fan of those kinds of things. I don't even have an app installed, so I guess my wife knew that and was posting her cheating scene, carefree. Yeah, that's why I didn't notice it at all until now, but someone at work told me, Your coworker at your hairdressing store, right? Who was it? No, it's not at my store. It's a hospital. The hospital where your lover works. My wife's head must have gone blank. After a silence, she finally seemed to realize, Yes, I sometimes go to places like hospitals as a visiting hairdresser because I was worried about my income from the store alone. The requests weren't regular, so my wife must have completely forgotten that I was doing this job. She panicked and started making a lot of incomprehensible excuses. I'm sorry, I just really missed you. I would not be fooled by such words. When I told her I was going to divorce her, she changed her attitude. Well, okay, let's get a divorce. After all, I think he's the one for me. I'll marry him. He makes many times what you do, and I'll pay you more than enough alimony too. Oh, that's very kind of you, but can you really be with this guy? He's married too. What? My wife seemed to have thought that he was single. I had somehow expected that too. Otherwise, no matter how much I don't look at social networking sites, she wouldn't be so stupid to post everything online. Her affair partner was a dishonest guy too. My wife frantically apologized and wanted to withdraw her divorce proposal, but I had recorded her words. After that, our divorce was finalized. I had more than enough evidence. I also got her to pay me alimony, though she did not end up with her affair partner. It looks like the other's wife charged alimony too. Well, the man is a doctor, so even if he pays the alimony, it wouldn't affect his life. But my ex-wife, on the other hand, is having a hard time paying it. She lied about working overtime and going on business trips, but in fact, the company she worked for didn't even allow working overtime. I heard she changed her job to a worse company that pays overtime so that she could make more money. After that, I have no idea what happened to my wife's social networking account. I still have no intention to start an account, but I think it was just stupid of her to let out her personal life so recklessly online. I'm grateful for that, though, because it helped me find out how much of a scumbag my wife was. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you again. Please subscribe to our channel.